Hey, what is up, you guys? This is Rob, and today we're going to be looking at the Mark V Toyota Supra and ways that it can be tuned and if it can even be tuned. So this guide is definitely made for the person who either owns the Supra and wants to know if their car is tunable or not, or if you're looking for a Supra and want to make sure you buy one that is tunable and what are your options. So first off, we're just going to go ahead and talk about the kinds of tuning, and let's get into it. Before we get into this, I do want to make it clear I am going to be brand neutral during this. As such, you won't be hearing me referring to any brands. I highly believe that you should do your own research in terms of tuning, and because of that, it is really going to be up to you who you choose. Just make sure you find someone who fits your needs and has the product that you want. So without further ado, let's get into the types of tuning that people do with their Mark V Toyota Supra. Alright, you guys, so piggyback tuning is one of the ways that people like to tune their Mark V Toyota Supras. So this is very similar to the chip tunes you may have heard about in the past, and it is an external device that will connect to your ECU. This will basically alter the sensors of signals to raise the boost. Do not worry about this stressing out your car too much, because your ECU is smart enough to know what to adjust to keep everything in line. Now, a lot of people like doing this if you don't want to go through a whole lot of work to add in power. And that's alright. So some of the pros to piggyback tuning are that it does keep your ECU stock. So this way, if you do need to revert back to stock really quick, maybe you want to sell the car or whatever, disconnect the device, and that's it. Just reconnect up the ECU and you're good to go. It does also retain the ECU's safety features, which is always nice. As I mentioned earlier, the ease of use and relatively safer installation is a big pro for a lot of people. And that it also does have some nicer features. You know, I know that so many piggyback tuners out there have nice on-the-fly map changes where you can quickly and easily change if you want 91, 93, E50, whatever map you want. Of course, it does have its cons. It is less precise. You know, we're still altering signals. So sometimes you will be leaving some extra horses on the table compared to a flash tune. You are also going to be limited to the capabilities of your stock ECU. Remember, guys, the ECU can only go so far on its stock parameters, so you will be limited there. That's why usually they don't recommend trying to use a piggyback if you want to do, for example, a bigger turbo setup. Then they just recommend doing a flash tune. Now, I do want to clarify something. A lot of people think that piggyback tunes are safer in terms of warranty. So, for example, you have an engine issue. They think that if you disconnect the piggyback, bring it in, Toyota won't know, BMW won't know. Guys, they're going to know. It's not that hard to figure it out. You're going to look at the logs. You're going to see that the boost was raised for a little bit. You're going to see the parameters were a little out of whack. So this may affect your warranty claim, so please keep that in mind, you guys. So now with piggyback being talked about, let's go ahead and let's move on to the flash tuning. Flash tuning, what is that? That is when you are basically rewriting the ECU to the parameters that you want them to. People enjoy doing this because you do have a lot more capabilities and you do have a lot more precision when you use this. You know, some people like having that sense of control. You can set everything, even the safety parameters themselves in the ECU. You can adjust other things like the rev limiter. How does this work? How do you tune your car? Well, one, you go to a tuner. They will actually put your car up on a dyno. You might have seen this before. They'll put on the dyno, they'll run it on the dyno, and they'll tune some parts of the ECU with their computer, run on the dyno, tune on the computer, run on dyno. They'll do that back and forth until everything is running squared, then you're on your way. Or the other way is a popular way, and that is you buy from another tuner who may be known for doing good work. So for example, let's say I wanted a 91 octane tune on my Supra, and I have a downpipe and intake, and I want it to be a conservative tune because I don't want to stress my motor too much. Well, I'll contact the tuner, I tell them what I want, then they'll send me the device that connects to my OBD port. I'll load up the tune. If there are any issues with the tune, I'll basically log the issues using the device, send it back to the tuner. They will then update the tune accordingly, send it back to me, and we'll do back and forth till everything's straight. This is why, as I said earlier, you really need to do your research when you find a tuner, because you want to find one that has good customer service, because this will probably happen. Alright? So I already went over the pros. You know, once again, a lot more customization. The precision is there. Unlimited capabilities. Some people can consider it safer than a piggyback tune because you're not really altering or tricking your ECU. You're just rewriting it. Of course, it does have its cons. You know, you are altering your ECU. The dealer will tell if you need to do any warranty work. Even if you try to flash it back to stock, they're going to know. It's not hard for them to tell that it's been reflashed. And they'll probably look at other things in the computer just to tell. You know, you also do have a chance of breaking the ECU. Think about how when you update your computer or your gaming console and it says do not shut off while updating, because you will brick it, because you will throw something so out of whack that a part of the computer will freeze. That will happen to the ECU, and then it might be a very expensive fix where you have to either get a new ECU, you'll have to take it to Toyota and admit it, say, hey, I screwed it up, which will then probably get you marked as having modified your car. And there goes the warranty work. And of course it can be riskier. You know, I had talked about getting a conservative tune. You might want an aggressive tune. Of course, you are making your own risk by wanting an aggressive tune just to get every little inch of power out of your motor, but then you can end up blowing it up. But that's just the name of the game, right? So those are the two main types of tuning. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the Supra's ECUs and what it means. So the Mark V Toyota Supra has 3 kinds of ECUs. Let's go ahead and go over them. So 1, you have the unlocked ones. So these unlocked ECUs, you are fully able to tune them as you please. You can do what you want. You can piggyback them, you can do a flash tune. If your Supra has one of these, you can basically drive it home from the dealership, buy a tune, put it on, and you are set to go. Or you could have an ECU that requires a bench unlock. What does that mean? Well, basically, you buy your Supra, you bring it home, you find out it needs to be bench unlocked. You're going to need to find a tuner who can bench unlock it. Now, not every tuner can do this. It's kind of a complex process and you need some different tools. So you may need to send your ECU out to another tuner who can go ahead. Now, I wasn't too much of a fan of sending my ECU out to another tuner and depending on them to unlock it and send it back to me. So what I would do is I would find some tuners that they actually will do a remote unlock where they'll send you the tool to unlock your ECU from home. And that's pretty cool because you'll talk to them on the phone and they'll do it over the computer, over the air and everything. And that's a much more, to me it's much more ease of use, and it kind of puts myself more at ease. Because you don't want to send out your ECU again, it gets lost because then your car's not going anywhere. Alright? And then we have fully locked, which means unfortunately your car cannot be tuned and then you will only be using a piggyback, which of course isn't the worst option for some people, but for some people it might not be enough. So now let's go ahead and talk about these Supras themselves. Alright you guys, so 2020 was when the Supra came to North America. So if you have a 2020 Supra, rest easy, your Supra can be tuned. However, only the early models were unlocked. The later models, they do require a bench unlock. Unfortunately, I could not nail down the exact production date to figure out if your Supra is unlocked or not, but I can give you a bit of help if you are searching for one. If you buy a launch edition 2020 Supra, then your Supra is unlocked. How do you tell if it's a launch edition? Well, they made 1,500 of them. They came in red, white, and black, and some good ways to help distinguish them are they came with red mirror caps and they have the flat black wheels, kind of like the wheels on my A91 edition 2021 Toyota Supra. So if you have one of those, you are 100% unlockable. If you do need a bench unlock because you have a later model 2020 Supra, it's not the end of the world, this means one more step. I already went over that step earlier. If you buy a 2021 Toyota Supra though, it can get a little bit more risky. If your ECU was built before June 1st, 2020, 6-1-2020, and you can tell this because the date is on the ECU, then you can bench unlock your Supra. No 2021 Supras came fully unlocked. So it will be a bench unlock, but at least you can still tune it. If your ECU is after, then you will only be piggyback tuning it. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the upcoming 2022 models. 2022 Toyota Supras, they cannot be tuned at all. They are locked. Piggyback only if you buy a 2022 Toyota Supra. Now, as of this time of this video being made, nobody has figured out yet how to unlock them. Yes, there are some places that claim they have unlocked them, but they haven't released anything else after that. So that means either it was a fluke or they just really don't want to share their secret. But as of right now, if you buy a Supra with a locked ECU, flash tuning is out of the question, unfortunately. But piggyback tuning is still a viable option. And with that, you guys, that is my guide to tuning or trying to find a 2020 and up Mark V Toyota Supra to tune. So remember guys, piggybacks aren't the worst thing if that is what you're using because you have a locked ECU. It's still a pretty viable way. You could still get some pretty good power out of that. Flash tuning, of course, is also pretty nice. Overall, it will just depend on the Supra you buy and what are your options. I do hope this was useful for you. If you have any additional questions, please leave a comment below. You know, as usual, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I always love hearing your guys' input. And with that, this is Rob, and have a good one.